What's going on, Spokane Man podcast, or the new show called the KGC Show? Uh, say that 10 times fast. Tonight, I am, yeah, tonight I am joined by a great man. If you were with me in the beginning of my podcast, then you would have heard my interview with him, Paul Martin from Rockland Road, and his son, Kel. What's up?
Hi.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm doing too blessed to be stressed. How are you guys doing?
the same way.
Likewise.
We've been
Love that
busy. We've been
phrase.
really busy this year, and we're home for a few days, and now it's like catch up in the studio and just catch up in general. So, but can't complain.
Yeah. So I hear you guys have a new song that either A just came out or B is getting ready to come out. Tell us a little bit about that.
You want to tell them, Kel, or you want me to?
Well,
Go
so
ahead.
our song Caroline, it just released to radio about what's today, the 3rd?
It'll be 2 weeks ago. It went Thursday, the September 22nd.
Yeah.
Which ironically was my mother and father-in-law's anniversary. So we didn't plan that. It just worked out that way. So,
And congratulations, I might also add, to Miss Nora Lee Allen, who is getting ready to be inducted into the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. And
you know what's really cool about that is that I'm from Kentucky originally, and I've been the music director for the induction ceremony since 2004. And it's always fun. We've got to induct so many classic artists, people. You know, it's interesting. There's a lot of people from Kentucky that I didn't know were from Kentucky. And but this year will be extra special as we get to, bring my mother-in-law in, and of course our family will be there, and Dwayne will be there. It'll be a special night this year.
Coming up too,
this month, the end
of the month,
28th. So anybody listening, if you live in the central Kentucky area, or you want to make a pilgrimage to Renfro Valley, Kentucky, that's where the induction ceremony will be. And you can buy tickets. It's at the Renfro Valley Barn Dance, which is one of the oldest barn dances. It was started alongside the Grand Ole Opry. And it's like this year they're putting in Carly Pierce, Marty Brown, Paul Yandell, who am I thinking of? Let's see, Paul Yandell, Pete Goebel, who's a wonderful songwriter, and one of my dearest friends. He's Tommy White, steel guitar player. He's been the staff steel player at the Grand Ole Opry now for 20 years, maybe something like that. And a lot of good folks coming in.
So when you guys got got the news that Nora Lee was getting ready to be inducted, what was you guys' reaction? Obviously, cool. It's grandma and mom, but I thought that she was already in there or had to be in there.
Well, it's funny because last fall we did a little acoustic Christmas show at the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. That was like December last year. And while we were there, the director pulled Jamie and I aside at the end of the night and said, "Hey, just want to give you guys a little heads up. We've decided, that the people, the committee has voted that Nora Lee will be going in next year." So we were excited. We couldn't tell her. We knew long before she knew, but we did notify Jamie's dad because him being with the Oak Ridge Boys, we had to give him time to let them know, hey, don't book that weekend, so I can be with my wife.
Well, it was great too, because like what she contributes matters too. And so it just felt really good that they were kind of highlighting that.
She sang at the Grand Ole Opry for over 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
And, and Nora Lee's not the type person. It's funny. She almost feels a little odd when people make over her. She's very humble about it. And this is going to be really cool because we have a few surprises planned for her that night that she don't know about. And I think she'll appreciate them and she will be surprised. But, I think we maybe can show her that, a lot more people love you than you realize in the industry, so.
And, speaking about Hall of Fames, are the Martin or the Rockland Road in any of the Hall of Fames?
No, not
the Rockland Road Hall of Fame. Yeah, baby.
With Exile, we were in the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. With my years with them, I'm part of that. Last year, they did a display with just me at the museum. I'm not officially in as Paul Martin, but it's a wonderful place to visit. There's a lot of there's so many people from Kentucky the music that's made a real impact on the overall music industry. Like Bill Monroe or Ricky Skaggs, Steve Wariner. Who am I missing? There's just so many. Lionel Hampton is a Kentuckian. Last time we did the induction ceremony, there's a lady named Jackie DeShannon.
Oh yeah,
and Jackie, one of her big hits was "What the World Needs Now." And she wrote 2 big songs, "Put a Little Love in Your Heart," and she wrote the song "Betty Davis Eyes" that Kim Carnes had a big hit on. Yeah,
I did not know that, man.
Oh, and what a sweet woman. When we got, when we do these things and people go in, you certain people have gone in, you're always a little nervous. You never know they're going to be like kind of hard to deal with, and everybody's always just been so humble,
really sweet,
and it's always a great event.
So, Kill, I have to ask you, what has been a pinch me moment for you? Was it playing? What was your first induction into country music?
First introduction to it?
Yeah.
Well, so I always grew up, I would go see Dad play back, because when I was really little, Dad played in the Oaks band for a little bit, and I got used to, going seeing Oaks shows, riding the tour bus, just thinking, oh, this is everyday life for everyone. Everyone rides a tour bus eventually. But
what's funny is when I was playing with Marty Stewart from 2008 to 2015, the boys were just old enough that the music bug was really starting to bite them.
I think Marty, that was really, I just think about every day how if it wasn't for Marty, I don't know how my passion would have developed over time, because I think just seeing him do what he does, and then just seeing Dad on the show also, and then us being on it a couple times, I think that was when I first started realizing this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
You can go on YouTube and Google the Martin Brothers, the Late Night Jam. And when I was playing with Marty, the boys had done a talent show at their school. And you were in what, first grade or kindergarten? I can't remember. First grade.
Are you talking about the year we did the Beatles song?
Yeah.
That was second grade.
Your second grade? Okay. I couldn't remember what year you were in. And so him and March sang at the talent show. Well, I just brought it out for Marty and Harry and Kenny to see on the bus. And when they did it, Marty said, they've got to do the Late Night Jam. So they decided to do a gospel song by the Staples Singers. And
we knew it because Marty did it.
Marty had done it on a gospel album, so they knew it from that. And so the boys made their Ryman debut in 2009. And you were what, 8
years old? Yeah.
And tore the house apart, got a standing ovation. As a parent, for me, it was just so much fun to stand back. But that was really kind of where the bug really bit you guys, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and that, even I'd still process that we did that to this day.
Yeah.
I'll watch the video and I'm like, that just feels like another lifetime. It doesn't even feel like me.
So I have to ask you, was it your brother? It was your brother that filled in for Scotty when he wasn't doing too well. Shouts out to Scotty.
Scotty had some back surgery, and then his mother recently passed. So March has gone in to fill in, and in the past, I played bass for the Oaks many years ago when they were really little. And when somebody usually gets sick in the Oaks band or something, they usually call me to fill in if I'm available. And about 3 years ago, I started I've got an aunt that has Alzheimer's, and she has no children. So Jamie and I've been taking care of her as well. So it's a little harder for me to just jump out and do it. So March has become a very accomplished musician overall. He plays, bass, drums, piano, guitar. He's just really taking that on. So usually if they call and one of us is available, we go and fill in. You don't say no to granddad.
And if Ronnie's ever off for keys, then I might have to step up to the plate then.
Yep.
So you guys are all musically inspired, and don't forget to leave your guys' comments down there, and we'll answer your guys' questions if you guys have questions.
Yeah.
But Kel, it was your idea to do, or it wasn't your idea, but you guys did Elvira for the Oaks Hall of Fame induction ceremony. For you, I remember, if I remember correctly, it was a pinch me moment, and you guys had to follow Garth Brooks. What was that like for you guys? What was it like for you guys as kids?
I remember even then thinking that Garth and Trisha were walking off stage and thinking What are we doing? Like, are we about to go? Are we about to follow Garth Brooks? Like, what is going on? That was the initial thought. Also other initial thoughts where I was having like all day.
Kel got food poisoning that
Yeah.
day. That's what he's trying to tell you.
That was also going through my mind at the time, but mostly the Garth thing. But yeah.
So, Paul, I'm trying to do a good job at balancing out the questions. Paul, I have to ask you about the song called "Mary, Don't You Weep." Where did that song come from?
That is a old Jamie, as you know, Nora Lee and Jamie have been on a lot of the Country's Family Reunion TV shows. Nora Lee's done them for years, and then somewhere along the way, she started getting Jamie to sing with her on the shows. So they were taping an episode. What's it been? 6 years ago, Kel? So I think 2016
of Country Family Reunion.
Yeah, and they were calling it Wednesday night prayer meeting or something, and they were just gonna. They had Ricky Skaggs, the Oaks were on that episode. Gosh, who else? Maybe the Isaacs and Lyndon Lang Scott, Linda Davis and Hillary and Riley and them. They were on that show, and the Whites, a lot of people we're dear friends with, and they're much like family. But anyway, they came to Jamie and said, "Hey, Jamie, why don't we get your family on? You need to sing a song." So we started looking, and I don't know why I was just looking. I was looking for something that's like a spiritual, because Texas, our daughter, that she's 17 now, and she's also our drummer, but like she just has this soulful kind of voice. And I started looking. We were just going through all these songs, and it's a song by the Swan Silvertones. And of course, Jamie and I love Take Six, and they did a version of it. And so we thought, let's borrow a little bit from what they did, make it a little more accessible, not quite as jazzy, make it a little more spiritual. And so we just kind of worked out the arrangement with the kids. And that was the first time we ever did it, was on that Country's Family Reunion.
Yeah, I guess the first time I ever performed.
Then we ended up doing it on the Gaither Homecoming, and Bill Gaither is so funny. He loves our family. And the first time he saw us really sing, we did the anthem at an Indiana Pacers NBA game a few years back, about the same time. And Dwayne went along. We always go to the NBA games with Dwayne. So when we did it, they were there that night. And Dwayne said, instead of watching the ball game, Bill was asking questions. Now, which one of the kids sings this part or whatever? He's been a real cheerleader too, so.
Well, and funny enough too, like you're saying, Mary, Don't You Weep, that was the first time we had performed that. When we sang the anthem at the Pacers game, that was the first time we had performed it in front of a crowd. And so that was like, what are we going to do this?
Well, and about that, what's funny was the night we did it at that particular game, the Chicago Bulls and the Indiana Pacers. And we had worked up, and there was a fella, he's in his late 80s now, and he's booked so many. I mean, everybody that's ever played a show in country music or rock probably worked for Variety Attractions. His name is George Moffitt. George called me right after we started doing this with the family, and he said, Paul, you need to probably have a version of the national anthem in your hip pocket. So we worked up our arrangement. We sang it for Dwayne, and then we sang it, ended up doing it there. And we never got I was hoping we go to Jamie's high school or something, do like a test run, but it worked out that the Pacers called us to do it. Somebody canceled last minute. So here we are in front of a packed house at Bankers Life Field House. And the kids walked out there and sang, and I held one of the mics for March and I to sing on. And as we were walking across the court after we were done, March goes, "Hey, Dad, your hand was shaking." I said, "Yeah, you think? I mean, we're standing in front of thousands of people singing the national anthem with our kids. It's like it was almost pretty overwhelming."
So Jacqueline OTT, she's a devoted fan, and we love Miss Jacqueline.
Oh yeah, I know who that. Yes.
And Miss Jacqueline, she has a question for you guys, and the question is are you guys going to be performing in Nashville soon?
Yes, we will be playing
near Nashville.
Well, we will be playing here near Nashville on December 22nd. We're doing our Christmas show at the Palace Theater up in Gallatin. And
the day before my birthday.
My birthday, that is my birthday.
The 22nd.
My birthday.
Well, yours is the 22nd. I'm the 23rd.
Wow. So you know what it's like when they say Merry Birthday.
Go pick something out of the tree.
Yeah. And I remember, and this was back when me and your dad, Kel, when we first had the show, that we did, I remember he was talking with us about the new William Lee Golden and the Goldens project.
Oh yeah.
How great did that turn out?
Oh, it's so neat. At the time they did that that's what William and them did kind of during that pandemic period too. And they just lost their mom. The Fro Jean was William's first wife, and I'll tell you what a sweet woman. Oh, she was just. I lost my mom like 30 some years ago to breast cancer at 50, and Fro Jean just felt like she felt like a mother to me too. So when they lost her mom, I mean, they all went in the studio. I think that's sort of a way they did their, kind of a healing for the brothers and everybody get in the studio. And I think they made a great, like a lifetime memory, a legacy that they will leave for many years.
Frogen would be
proud.
Oh,
she'd be so proud of them. No doubt,
Kel, what is your favorite memory, either be from Rockland Road or from Marty or the Oaks that you can share us about, that you can tell about that nobody really like behind the scenes?
Man, on the spot. Let's see. I'm like, it's fine. My memory gets like very foggy when I try to think of something, but let's see.
Well, it's like you start thinking immediately, all these things just start popping in your head,
Because I always loved going to the basketball games, but I thought that was really more of a family thing. That wasn't really
like I would think, Kel, probably something like when we played the White House.
The White House came to mind.
We did the White House a few years ago for the Easter egg roll. And then also we did our Grand Ole Opry debut a few years back. That was a real neat time for our family. So.
Well, and that was cool because we had done it the one time, and then we came back like a couple of days later. They were doing this 4th of July celebration thing, and then we came back like a third time. Like I think was it a month after that,
maybe something like that. Yeah,
but that was really surreal because it was one thing I do remember, like just playing the piano in one of the dressing rooms, just like. I'm playing the piano in the dressing room. Like it just felt very like I wonder who else has played this piano before me and blessed it, I guess. But
yeah, if anybody's up from the Opry's listening, we'd love to do the Opry again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can assure you one thing, that there's nobody from the Opry watching my show. I'm too small to
Well, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. But Paul, what was it like for you? You obviously probably grew up a big country music fan and gospel music fan. What was it like for you? This is something I've always wanted to know. When you got the call from Marty saying, "Hey, will you come sing with me or play with me?" What was that phone call like? Did it change your life?
It's really strange because I've known Marty since the Exile days, and we've been friends. I mean, Marty's like a brother. I mean, he's always been a great friend, and I've gone and played guitar with him back in the 90s when I was trying to be a solo artist and stuff. We've just always remained friends. His bass player, the guy that was playing, the weekend that I got word that Brian was leaving the Superlatives, I was doing a friend of mine had cancer, and I had done a project with two of my buddies I grew up with. We did it in my hometown. We had a CD release. I'd done this CD for him, and we were having a release party. And I took a guy named Steve Sturm, who was Travis Tritt's steel player for many years, played with Scotty Simpson, and he's a dear friend. He went with me to play with these guys at their CD release, and we were packing up on Saturday night. Steve had talked with one of Marty's, his front of house engineer, who's also a longtime friend. And he said, "Man, I was talking to Mick." He said, "Brian's leaving the Superlatives." And I went, "Well, that's sad. I like Brian. I wonder who Marty will get to replace him." Well, on Monday morning, my phone rings. It's Marty. And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" And I said, "What are you doing this weekend?" He goes, "Why don't you come play some bass with us? We got a gig down in Mississippi." So I learned the stuff that week, got on the bus that night, and I didn't really know Kenny or Harry very well at that time. We went and played a show. We did 2 shows that day. After the first show was over and we were walking off stage, Kenny turned around just grinning really big, like he seemed to really enjoy playing with me. So then we got done that day, and Marty goes, "Hey, do the Opry with us next Friday." So I did the Opry, and then when we got done, in fact, that's where the name Apostle Paul was born. We were on stage at the Ryman, and this is like February of 2008, and Marty goes, "Say hello to cousin Kenny Vaughn." Everybody applauds. And then handsome Harry Stinson. He said, "And over here on the bass fiddle, say hello to Apostle Palmer." And it just rolled off his tongue like that, and he just stuck. And so, and then after that night, he goes, "Why don't you just join the band?" So, I mean, we made, some great music together. And in fact,
they're like family, really.
Yeah, they are. And like last year, Marty did a solo project. You can go on YouTube and find it. And March Kell and I played with him on a bunch of it and sang and did a video with him last day. Waylon, so
this time by Waylon, right?
Yeah, Waylon Jennings. So yeah.
So I have to ask you guys a question. Kel, let's start with you individually. tell us what each individual oak is like. What each individual Oak Ridge boys is like. We'll start off with Joe Bonzo first.
All right. Joe is extremely animated in just the best way possible. He's so funny. Like I love just anytime we walk in the room, like with the Oaks, Joe is just like
The life of the
the
party.
circus is in town, and like I love any time.
A little sidebar of that, March. I don't know where March has this uncanny knack. He can imitate. He does impressions of lots of friends and family, and he can do all the Oaks. Really, he almost has them all down. He can sound like Joe. He can sound a bit like William. Of course, he can sound like Dwayne, obviously. But
I wonder if he has Richard. Down.
Well, he can kind of do Richard, but his voice don't have quite the depth that Richard's got. But he can say it in a certain way. Because one time we did the country music cruise with the Oaks back about 5 years ago, and as we got done, we were all getting on boarding. The Oaks were heading out on to like Las Vegas to play a show out there, and we were heading back to Nashville. And Richard came up to March that day, and he said something to him in March when he told me. I mean, it's just so. Richard's got a great sense of humor. He's real funny. He'll come up, hit you with one when you least expect it, And March, when he tried to sound like him saying it, so it made it funny to me, of course. But
what about William Lee? What is he like? He like?
He also has a really good sense of humor, but he's more like quiet. Like he's like under his breath.
What I love about William's humor is that he'll seem really serious, and then all of a sudden, when you least expect, he'll drop a joke. He came in one day years ago when I was playing with him. He just walked in and he was just being silly. He just goes, he said, well, I'm not prejudiced. I just hate everybody. Because he didn't mean that. I mean, we were sitting there with Chris. This is when Chris played drums and I was playing bass with the Oaks. And I mean, he just has this, just a wicked sense of humor,
What about you, Cal?
Oh, with
William?
Oh yeah, just say that, just like very just kind of what Dad was saying, honestly.
Well, what about Richard? What is Richard like? Is he
You know what's funny about Richard? He and I both, all the boys love sports. And usually when I'm talking with Richard, we start talking like college basketball, and we always have that interest for sure, And him and Donna have been great to us. I mean, there's one time when the flood happened a few years ago, they came and got all our clothes. We didn't really get flooded per se, but our basement got kind of flooded out, so we had to go rip stuff out and all that. And they came. This is what good neighbors are like. They came and took all our dirty clothes away and washed them for us and brought them back.
And I remember, we were, I was like 9 at the time. I remember they brought us like popsicles and stuff like that.
Wonderful people, just wonderful folks,
And obviously Dwayne Allen. What's obviously Dwayne's family?
Never heard of him.
I don't know him that well. Yeah, Granddad he's so just constantly inspired and like just very passionate about what he does, and it's like to the point where it's like overflowing. And yeah, I aspire to look at music the way that he does.
We all do.
What I love about Dwayne is, both my parents, my mother died at 50. Now, Jamie didn't get to know my mom. She, and then Jamie and I met a couple of years after that. And my father passed in 1999. So none of my kids have gotten to know either one of my parents. So Norley and Dwayne are the only grandparents they've really had. And what I say about Dwayne that I truly love about him is that he loves his grandkids unconditionally. I mean, it's just, he just really, when we get together with the family and do things, it's just, it's just really special because I'm so glad that he loves them that way. He just really,
Well, and one good thing with COVID, I just remember, they were home a lot. And so we would just go and have like little movie nights with Granddad. And he just, he'd pick out something and be like, all right, just come on over. We'll throw something on. And it was just so great to get to just spend time like that where it's just very casual, very just, nothing else matters. Let's just go and watch a movie.
And it's funny too. What's funny for my kids, especially with Dwayne and the Oaks, what's it been 5 or 6 years ago, March went over one day and raided grandmom and granddad's video
One
he took like
day.
a bait. Well, yeah, one day, more than that. But he took a Betamax player that they had, an old one, and a bunch of tapes, and brought them home. And one Sunday after church, we were home that day, and he started pulling up all these videos, and was watching like this HBO special they did, and all this different stuff. And he looked at me and goes, "Dad, I didn't really realize how big Granddad and them were." I said, "Yeah, that was before your time." I said, "They sold out arenas. They were like, as big as Taylor Swift or Garth Brooks were in that time, during the heyday of Elvira and Bobby Sue." And I, it was really kind of eye-opening to him try to grasp that, so, and
there's still, I mean,
yeah.
interview clips or little
Yeah.
skits they've done that are like resurfacing on the internet that I just have never seen before. And I watch it, I'm like, that's migrant. That's really cool.
So I want to ask this, and what's been the greatest advice Dwayne has taught to not only the grandkids, but to you, saying that you lost both your parents? What is he like that way? What kind of advice?
Both my in-laws, they've treated me like their own son. I mean, I could go on and on about the things they've done for me personally, which they've made me feel like one of their own. And just, it's very, believe me, it means more than I don't even know if they even understand, but it does. And then as far as Dwayne's advice about music, his wisdom, I mean, I've listened to it for years. I mean, when I was with Exile, before I knew Jamie, before I really knew Dwayne, when I first joined Exile in 1988, the Exile guys said, "Our business model is the Oak Ridge Boys business model. That's how we did business." And they talked about how they loved Dwayne and how he gave them all kinds of, they did dates with the Oaks in like 85, 86 and a bunch of tours. And they learned a lot about business. And also the thing one of the big takeaways about Granddad, and I know you'll agree with me on this, how important the songs are. As Rockland Road, when we start looking for songs, he's really impressed upon all four of the grandkids, how important the song is. He calls it 3 minutes of magic. But there's so many great artists out there. What I watch a lot of these social media people on TikTok blowing up all the time, and some of them are doing really neat things. And I go, they have a really unique thing, but they don't have a hit song yet. And so you go, if they don't get something like a hit song in their hip pocket, within like a year after they do something, they're probably not going to be able to sustain what they're doing. I think you need to have that Elvira or that, Long and Winding Road or whatever song it, but you need that song that really affects a mass of people.
And then plagiarize yourself and follow it up. And
yeah. So I wanted to ask, I'm going to ask this final question. Two final questions. Where can people go to keep up with you guys?
So we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We do TikTok, and did I say YouTube? No, I didn't say YouTube. We do YouTube, all under Rockland Road. TikTok is actually Rockland Road Music.
We've actually got some of our videos on Rumble, even. That.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Awesome.
But you just try to, and we're pretty accessible through, if you go to our website, rockandroad.com, you can send messages that way, and somebody will get back with you, I promise.
Oh yeah, and streaming is on Apple Music, Spotify, I believe, Tidal, Pandora, and basically anywhere you stream music.
Call your local radio stations to play Caroline, because we are an independent act. And we were so thrilled when the guy reached out to us about submitting a song to be put on country radio. So we sent him all 3 or 4 of these songs that we were had done. And he picked Caroline, and then he said, it's going to come out September 22nd. He said, have them call your radio stations. So some of the stations may not actually have it, what they call the reporting stations. It's a service that they get it, but there'll be stations that may not be reporting to Billboard or something like that. But if they want the song, we can certainly get it to them.
So before I ask this last question, what Paul just said and what Kel has been saying, call your local radio stations. And I don't think that we all three can stress it out enough. For independent country music to get on the radio is the greatest thing for an independent artist. My buddy Blind Joe, he shout out to Blind Joe. He's an independent man, and he's doing better than me. and he has a song out called "I Will Not Comply" or "Hello Hunting," and people seem to look at Blind Joe because he has a disability, and they won't make him go viral. Well, it's easy for. Would you say this, Paul? It's easy for you to already be on radio because of the connections you have, but is that not? Do you want to work for it again with the family and show the kids?
Really, my job here is I'm support. I mean, when we started this 7 years ago full time, and we've been doing it for 12 years, we started the first years just for fun, but we started realizing all four of the kids had this talent, this gift, and so we thought the only way we can really do this is we have to do it as a family. Because all four, if I said, well, I think you're more talented than the other three, well, that's not going to work.
Let's pursue just one career.
So, but the thing is,
9 to 5.
But when we do a live performance, we do a little tribute to Exile and the Oak Ridge Boys in our show because people know that history, and that's perfectly fine. But we didn't put this band together so I'd have a band so I could be a front man again. I had my day 30 years ago with Exile, but my job is just I play the instruments, I sing harmony, I come out near the end of a show and sing a few Exile little medley of hits, and I do that just to help make the show round out. But it's like I'm here to help them to pursue their dreams, and be the guy that helps them get there, and like Dwayne's been him and Norley have been very supportive, in so many ways. They believe in the kids too, but all we can do, and this as well as anybody probably, there's a lot of children and grandchildren of big stars, not just in country but other genres, and I think when they start pursuing a career in music or in that kind of direction, I think because they see their parent and getting this VIP treatment, stuff like that, I have a feeling a lot of times they think that's just going to translate right over to them, and it's not. It's all about work ethic. And the kid, all four of the kids, I mean, they're not afraid to work.
We're our own crew.
Yeah.
So
for 35 or 40 years, I've been on the road and on a bus. All I have to do is show up and play my instrument, sing my parts. When we started this 7 years ago, we're carrying PA and lights and stuff. So I end up doing it's like I'm back in my first band. It's really exciting in a way. And
get used to it, though. It's what I'm used to at this point.
The cool thing is that if we can get to a point financially where we can afford to have a couple of guys that go out with us and set up, we will really appreciate that. So
just give me a holler and I'll be the first one. I'll come work with Rockland Road any day, man. And I hope you guys ever make it out this way out.
It's really sad. We were not too far from it. We played in Downey, Idaho back in August. We did a fair down there, and we played in Gillette, Wyoming. So
that's like the furthest west
we've
been out.
Yeah.
I guess west.
Don't they still have Kelly's Grand Country, the place up there right outside Spokane, right there, like when you go to is it Coeur d'Alene, right between Coeur d'Alene and Spokane, right?
Yeah,
country place. I played there with Exile many years ago, and
well, you guys got to come back out and hang out, and they do well, I'll text you about it, but we got a big I want to try and do like a Christmas thing for some people here in Spokane, and so I'll hire Rockland Road and pay all the expenses and everything. But just thank you guys for the great music, man, and
well, thank you for taking the time
listening.
It's not as I'm saying, the kids are learning that it's hard work. It's not all, it's not all this champagne and caviar or anything like that. It as my friend once said, it's spam on a Melmac plate. but the truth is I've got to spend all this time with my family. When I was on the road with Marty, I'd say, okay, guys, see you when I get back in a couple of weeks or whatever. And in the last 7 years, we've pretty much been together 24/7. And it seems like it's lasted, a few minutes to me. But also going through just as they he's 21 now, the girls are 17 and 15, and we're trying to, we're just there every step of the way. I'm so thankful the kids are come to us with anything that's on their mind or problems and anything like that. But also the music we're playing. I mean, it's like watching the kids become songwriters and really good players and real solid, and watch them work so hard at it. It's there's a lot of reward there. It's like
Well, and it's funny because I was actually just talking about this with the lady that cut my hair earlier, but we were talking about just how, at the end of the day, we are a family still. And I feel like, if we didn't focus on trying to get along and trying to, not go to bed angry or, all that stuff, if we were just, not trying to stay together as a family and still doing what we do like 24/7, like it would be very, miserable. So I think that's a very important thing that we focus on.
I want to say something real quick. You just triggered a thought. You know how this all really kind of started with our family. When I was playing with Marty, Kale's the one. This was like Christmas of 2008 or 9, I believe it was. And right after Christmas, we were sitting at home, and Kale goes, "Dad, one day I know I'm going to grow up, but I don't want to leave this family." And I said, "Well, you'll grow. It's okay. That's the way life goes." And I just said, "Well, maybe we could just sing together something, and do something like that. We'll always have a reason to be together." And never knowing it, a few years later, this is what we would be doing. But it kind of stems from that. And, funny enough, talk about singing together. Do you know that all the years I've been with Jamie, we've been married 27 years, been together 31. And all the years we've been together and celebrated holidays, this past Christmas, Jamie's brother said, "Why don't we sit down and sing some Christmas songs for Christmas this year?" And we got guitars out this past Christmas.
That's a memory.
And it's just, we've always had great Christmases with the in-laws, with them and stuff.
I think that was my favorite.
But it's like we just had so much fun. Everybody just sat there, and we just, there's all 6 of us, and Jamie's mom and dad and her brother. We're all sitting there just singing all these songs, and the harmony just reverberating from the room and stuff. It was very special. It's like, family is obviously very important to us. So.
And the one thing I love is that when I listen to you guys, I can tell that you're not only singing in harmony, quoting Dwayne. Sorry, Dwayne. Love you. Love you, Ace. You guys just don't sing in harmony. You guys live in harmony too. And that's something that's something I see when I look at Rockland Road, is that you guys do your best to make you guys established,
and really, as a family, as a singing group, one of the things that we take with us every time we get on stage to perform is the audience that's watching you. There's a lot of people hurting, and I feel like if they can feel love from the entertainer, like you're serving, in a way, and it's like a waiter or waitress coming to, bring your food to the table. We're bringing music, and it's like if people can forget their pain and suffering for 45 minutes to 2 hours or whatever, as long as we play, then that's our goal, and it's like, and if they feel the love of our family, I think there's something about magic of song, but I think people are looking for a bright spot. The world's kind of crazy right now. I think we all can agree on that. It's like, it just seems like it's just spinning out of control daily, and it's like, we just feel like music has that place where we can all go to,
That's why I say at the end of my show, there's nothing that brings us together more than music. And it's true, and I want to thank you guys so much for being on the show. Paul, thank you for coming back.
Yeah, anytime, that.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cal, for coming on. And I see you on Instagram too. And I always see you on Instagram, and I always think, well, I'm going to talk to this guy one day. And now I've got
here I am.
So, guys, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
And please, as much as it means to me to have you guys on the show, go stream, go share, go like their new song, Caroline, call your radio stations. But most importantly, go support this amazing group, this amazing family. I don't know if there's any other family group, maybe besides the Isaacs, that I can think off at the top of my head.
We love the Isaacs.
And their friends, well, maybe the Gatlin brothers. Love the Gatlin.
Yeah. Well, you had to say that. No, we love Larry and Rudy and Steve.
And y'all, thank y'all so much for being on the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to dedicate this show tonight to Blakely. she's a big fan of country music, and I grew up with her, so I got to dedicate this show to her. And I want to dedicate this show also to my late great grandmother, who was a big Exile fan and was a big Mary Stewart fan as well. And so her favorite song ever was "Mary, Don't You Weep," and she passed away 2 years ago. And so when I heard that song, it made me think of her. And so I want to say thank you guys, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to the Spokane Man podcast, the KGC show. You got to get used to saying that. Thank you guys so much for continuing to coming back. I'm going to upload 2 days a week. Monday we're going to go live, and Friday we're going to do a regular upload to where you guys can like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you guys. So till the next one, may God bless you. May God be with your house. And faith, family, and music bring people together. Thank you.